Everyone, and welcome to the Jeff Bullish Show. To have with me today, MarketingMax. MarketingMax is a serial entrepreneur who built and sold an award-winning seven-figure ad agency. Since then, he's earned more than 200,000 plus followers with his growth marketing content. Those followers aren't real followers, they're actually on social media. Well, they are real, but there's not 200,000 people that following him around like Jesus. Okay, let me put it that way. So Max's agency, one-on-one consulting, portfolio businesses, his work has driven 100 million plus in attributable revenue for brands of all shapes and sizes. He's been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, USA Today, and MarketWatch. MarketingMax has consulted for more than 250 fast-growing brands on everything growth and marketing, including Juicepress, Hubspot, Notion, Techday, Statefarm, 𝓦𝓱𝓪𝓽, and countless more. Max hosts the MarketingMax Show and also becoming a regular on conference stages where he's easy to implement marketing strategies and great marketing battle stories. Whether optimizing campaigns based on MarketingMax's 10 million plus in managed ad experiences, building dozens outside the box high ROI marketing funnels, or teaching growth marketing tactics to his 200,000 plus followers. So, MarketingMax, welcome to the show, and we're going to talk about everything marketing, everything content, everything digital advertising. So welcome to the show. And so where did this marketing drive, curiosity emerge from the mist of MarketingMax's consciousness as a child or a teenager, or did it show up later?
Well, thanks for having me on the show, Jeff. Yeah, I'm the son of two entrepreneurs, and my mother's father actually came to the United States from Israel. I think it was the 40s, late 30s or early 40s. And he came to the States with a couple dollars in his pocket and died a successful serial entrepreneur, and told me from the time I was, 2 days old, whatever you do, you have to own the company. And my mom followed in his footsteps and then met my dad, and he's an entrepreneur. So I've always known that entrepreneurship was, quote unquote, in my blood.
Mm-hmm.
And from a very young age, I was told to read the Wall Street Journal every morning. Literally, like elementary school, I was reading the Los Angeles Times business section in the Wall Street Journal every morning, and learned very quickly that marketing is the lifeblood of business. If you don't have customers, and if you don't have a way to get customers, then you don't have a business, because you can't keep the lights on and pay your employees. So I've always been fascinated by marketing. But then after college, I went to work on Wall Street, helping early stage companies raise capital at an investment bank, a very small investment bank in Midtown that doesn't really exist anymore. And I royally bombed the Series 7 exam, like totally bombed it, the exam that I needed to become an investment banker. And one of my clients 2 weeks later looked at me after a capital raising meeting where I was helping her raise capital for her Series A round, and said, "Hey, every ad agency and marketing agency I hire really sucks. I've gone through like 3 or 4 of them. Can you run my Facebook ads?" And at the time, I just bombed the Series 7 exam. I was kind of wondering if I was going to be a Wall Street guy for the rest of my life, or if there was another path for me. And I said, sure, I have nothing better to do. Let me give it a shot. Back then, she gave me $2,000, which was a lot of money in Facebook ad spend, because it was only like $2 or $3 CPM. So it only cost, $2 to get in front of 1,000 customers today. It's literally 10x. But she gave me $2,000 in ad spend. I watched a couple of YouTube videos, learned the platform completely on my own. And within 2 weeks, I turned her $2,000 that she gave me into $20,000 in collected revenue for her business. Was immediately hooked on Facebook ads, Google ads, landing page optimization. Started learning all the acronyms from CAC to CTR to CPA and all those fun things. And a couple months later, I had signed up a couple other clients at the investment bank, basically saying, hey, I'll help you, acquire customers more predictably so that we can put these numbers into your financial models to help you raise capital. And I got to the point where I could quit Wall Street and start an agency. So quit my career on Wall Street, hung up the suit and tie, and started my ad agency on Madison Avenue. And yeah, the rest is history.
So what year was that? Because we've seen the rise in prices of digital advertising, both Google and Facebook and so on. So what year was this? Was this early, like the 2000 teens, as in 12, 13, something like that?
Yep. So I ran that very first campaign for 𝓬𝓬𝓷, October of 2016.
Right. Okay. Cool. because Facebook really only went public in about 2013, I think, something like that, 14, and actually started monetizing because it went public. It needed to show its investors that it could make money rather than just being a freemium model. So,
Yeah.
so in other words, you got a great first off experience in terms of running ads, got a great result. Now, are you finding that more difficult as the cost of ads on Facebook and digital platforms has arisen? How's that looking in 8 years later? Because 2024, doing math, is 8 years later. So how's it today compared to the glory days? And there used to be the glory days of Google AdSense back in 2000s. So how's it today? It must be getting a bit harder.
It's significantly harder. It's significantly harder, and not so much because of iOS 14. I think Facebook's kind of figured out a way around iOS 14. It's really harder because it's just more expensive. So when I started the agency, my first client running those ads for Alexandra, October 2016, and then we formally launched the agency in February of 2017. It was $2 to $3 to get in front of 1,000 people on Facebook ads. Today, it could be upwards of 20, even 30 or $40 sometimes to get in front of your target clients. And back in the early days, as you called it, the golden era, the golden days of Facebook ads, we averaged above a 4x return on ad spend, regardless what the client's product or service was. So if you came to us and you gave us a $5,000 ad spend, there was a really, really, really good chance that whatever your product or service was, we could turn that into $20,000 in revenue pretty easily. We did that by creative testing more than a lot of other agencies, A/B testing landing pages a lot more than other agencies, but still, like, it was only, $3 to get in front of 1,000 people. And so now when the cost to advertise has literally 10x, if it used to cost us, Alexandra's business was a modern kind of wellness spa, like a med spa. So if it used to cost us $20 to get someone to book a session at her med spa in New York City, or now in Philadelphia, she's expanded. If it was $20 back then, it could be upwards of $200 today. Granted, if we A/B test a bunch more creatives and A/B test a bunch more landing page variants, and maybe the algorithm's a little bit smarter now, even if that number is 7 or 8x, like that went from a $20 cost to acquire a customer in 2016 or 2017 all the way up to $150 to $200 today. Totally different ball game, right? Significantly more expensive. You're getting a fraction, literally 1/10 the amount of customers you're getting for the same ad spend. And so a lot of companies, they'll spend the same every single month, and for whatever reason they can't increase their budget. They run out of inventory, so they have to pause ads. There's a whole bunch of other examples that I can give you, but essentially, it's significantly more expensive now. And so if you're continuing to spend $5K every month for 10 years or 20 years, whatever that is, or 8 years, as you did the public math there, over 8 years, if you used to spend $5K and it would cost you $50, you'd get 100 customers every single month. And now you might get 5, you might get 10, right? It might be significantly, significantly more expensive. So that was one of the main reasons, honestly, that I sold my agency is, we averaged a 4x ROI, and we were able to get a ton of clients by telling them we can get a 4x ROI. And after, a while, that 4x became 3x, and that 3x became 2x. And then, the average was below 2x. That number might have gone back a little bit up, given a few things I mentioned earlier, but essentially, it got significantly harder to generate those returns. And we always worked with startups. So our average client was spending somewhere between 5 to 50K a month in ad spend. We certainly worked with clients that were spending 100K, 200K, and we managed one client that had $500,000 in ad spend. But, we worked with startups, and, if a startup goes from acquiring 100 customers with a $5,000 budget to 5 customers with a $5,000 a month budget, you can't run ads anymore. It's just not a profitable channel for you. So yeah, it's significantly, significantly challenging, or I should say more challenging, to run ads today. And, I just wish I capitalized more on it back when things were so cheap.
Yeah, the reality is that you sort of look, if you've got a crystal ball, you try and look into the future going, well, ads are going to go up, and Facebook and Twitter are going to make it harder to grow your organic followers. I grew up in the glory days of the Wild West of social media back in 2009. through to about 2013, 14, where you could grow followers quite organically without doing shock and awe, shit and drama, which is what we're basically almost descended to in terms of content these days. I'm reading a great book at the moment called Chaos Machine, which is about the insight into how social media platforms are designed, the algorithms designed to actually maximize revenue for them and almost minimize revenue for us, well, for the companies. So let's talk about content then. How do you cut through in so much noise with content today? And then you've got the rise of TikTok. We've got the ongoing development of algorithms, which are designed to increase engagement despite the type of quality or the type of content we're getting is about divisiveness, and it's about clickbait. We're seeing the rise of superficial rather than deep content more, or maybe seeing that come back. What's your view on content in 2024 to get cut through? You're trying to build a personal brand. I'd be interested in your thoughts.
Yeah, well, about 2 years ago, right after I sold my agency, I made a bet with my friend who could get the most TikTok followers in 60 days in the summer of, what was that, 2022? I believe it was 2022. Maybe it was 2021, whatever. I made a bet with him. And what we learned very quickly was the algorithm will show your content to more people if it keeps people on the platform longer.
Yep.
Right. So to your point, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever the platform is, its goal is to maximize its own revenue. And all of these platforms are competing with each other for attention. They want more people to spend time on their platform than on other platforms, but they also are competing for attention against Netflix and against the news, cable news, and all sorts of other things. So what they're looking for are signals that get people to stay on the platform as long as possible. And so what we learned was you need to create content that signals some sort of payoff for the user at the end of the video. Right. So, I'm in a business niche, so creating a business like personal brand, three ways to increase your Facebook ads, right? You want to stay around and to hear the third, or if you say six of my favorite ways to increase your return on ad spend from Facebook ads, you can say number 5 is my favorite. Well, now I feel obligated to stick around to the 5th one. And even if people make it past, the first 10 seconds, that's way more than the average person makes it past any video. And so they're going to start showing that video more and more and more. So from like a tactical standpoint, your goal is always to have some sort of payoff at the end. With that said, listicles absolutely crush it. And so if you're posting a Twitter thread, if you're posting a long form piece of content on LinkedIn, I've found it absolutely beneficial to always lean on listicles and always lean on 7 reasons to, or 5 ways to do this, or 6 things people don't talk about Facebook ads, or 6 ways people don't talk about building your personal brand, or whatever. So I lean on listicles. That's always my best advice to people. And then from a platform perspective, your number one goal is to push people off of the social platforms. So your number one goal is to get just enough attention and awareness on Twitter, or on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on TikTok, on whatever it is, to push people to sign up for your newsletter. And I'm the biggest proponent of newsletters. 107,000 people read my newsletter every single day, literally 6 days a week. We send out a newsletter, and it goes out to 107,000 active subscribers, people who have said, I want to, subscribe to this newsletter. And they open it regularly, 40% open rates. And the reason for that is because when you post on Instagram, only 10% of your followers, if you're lucky, will ever see your content, let alone engage with it. With a newsletter, that number could be upwards of 40 or 50%. So you're getting in front of your target audience more. And when people are scrolling Instagram, when they're scrolling TikTok, when they're scrolling LinkedIn, they're looking for something very different than what they're looking for when they're sitting in their email inbox. They're looking for quick dopamine hits on social platforms, whether it's LinkedIn, even though it's B2B, right? They're looking for B2B dopamine hits. Inspiration, I'm going to get that job I want. I can start that company that I want. They're looking for dopamine hits. With the newsletter, it allows you to go way deeper. It allows you to build real trust, just like we're doing here with this podcast, where you feel like, you're connecting with the audience, and the audience feels like it's almost like they're reading your brain, right? So that's another thing, pushing people over to the newsletter platform. And then from there, I think it's just really a matter of finding your voice and finding your mission, right? Yep. What is the thing that you believe your target clientele or your target audience, whoever you want to grow your audience of, what's the thing that you believe if they do, They will accomplish their goals, whatever that might look like, and then finding 100,000,000 different ways to tell that story, a bunch of different ways. The biggest, best social creators, no matter the platform, whether it's Gary Vee, 𝓲𝓪𝓻𝓷, Greg Eisenberg, Mr. Beast, it doesn't matter. They have like one main thing that they believe, and they figure out how to tell that story 100 different ways and how to share that 100 different ways. You are no different. You need to find that. And you're competing for attention against Mr. Beast and Gary Vee and Cody Sanchez and Greg Eisenberg and 𝓲𝓵𝓵 and all these people. You're competing against all of them. Right. So you need to figure out what is the thing that you can plant your flag in the ground and say, I believe this. I believe if you do this, you will accomplish your goals. You'll accomplish your dreams. You'll build the company you want to build. You'll find the success with Facebook ads you want to find. If you do this one thing, right? And it just works over and over and over again, right? Gary Vee says, if you post more on social, you'll accomplish your goals. Whatever you're doing, whatever your business is, wherever you are in the world, if you post more on social, you'll accomplish your goals. Cody Sanchez, millions of followers. If you buy a boring business, you'll accomplish your goals, whether that's escaping the 9 to 5, better using or better investing your money, getting a higher ROI on your investment. Don't put it in the stock market, put it into a boring business, right? Justin Welsh, I believe if you build an audience, you'll have complete freedom for the rest of your life, right? If you do X, you will achieve your goal. You need to fill in that formula. You need to create content that has some sort of payoff at the end and signals at the beginning, right? That way the algorithm pushes you more, and then you need to push people off the social platforms onto a newsletter. Forgive me if I'm rambling, but I can go
No,
on forever.
it makes total sense. And I've been playing this game, watching it evolve for a long time, so it makes total sense to me, and I'm sure to a lot of my listeners. Now, on building an email list, you actually love the insight in terms of dopamine hit, short content, but then you want to get them onto your platform, your email list. So basically, you're moving from rented platforms, which is where you don't have any control, to your own platforms where it's actually your own property. It's your own digital asset. And that's where you can really monetize. Now, what are some of the tactics beyond social to newsletter? Do you offer something for free to help people achieve their goals? Like, is it an ebook? What are some of the things as incentives for people to actually hit subscribe? What are some of the incentives you do?
Yeah. So I've actually started working with a lot of different brands to help them grow, right, and monetize their own newsletters. And one of the things I work on a lot with clients is getting on this tool called unbounce.com. It's my favorite marketing tool on planet Earth. It's a landing page A/B testing tool. And I actually have a template. If you're listening to this and you want the template, it's totally free. DM me on Twitter and say that you listen to Jeff's podcast and you want the template. You could plug it right into Unbounce, and essentially I create 4 or 6 or 8 different variations of a lead magnet. I drive a bunch of traffic to that Unbounce landing page. I split the variations up. So, if I have 10 variations of that landing page, 10% of the traffic who visits the page will see one lead magnet, 10% will see another lead magnet, 10% will see another lead magnet. Or you can start with 4, right? 4 different people who land on it will see a different lead magnet. And then after, I drive 400, 500, 600 people to that landing page, I can see the conversion rate of which lead magnet gets the most amount of people to sign up for the newsletter. And then I can go build that lead magnet. You literally don't even need to build it, right? Then you can go back to everyone and say, hey, I finally built it. Or, hey, sorry, there was a snag with Zapier, with my email automation system, whatever. Here's the ebook, right? But if you can, over the course of a week, come up with 4, 6, 10 different lead magnets that you think your target audience might want, A/B test it, drive hundreds of people to the page and see which one actually gets the people to convert. I've been able to increase my newsletter sign up landing page conversion rate from 13% upwards to 50% by doing this. 50%. Right. I've tested more than 150 different variations in Unbounce of my newsletter landing page. And it's just wild, right? Talk about like how we started this conversation about how the cost to advertise on Facebook has gone up.
Yep.
Right. If you're spending $1 to get someone to land on your landing page and your landing page converts at 13%, right? For every 100 people that visit your landing page, you're getting 13 signups, right? You're spending roughly $10 per signup. I don't do public math, but you're spending roughly $10 if you were to round up or round down, whatever the number is, right? But if you were to increase that conversion rate from 13% to 50%, right? Suddenly we have 50. And so now we've been able to lower our cost per subscriber down from roughly $10 to roughly $2, right? And so it behooves us to I believe, if my public math is right? 100 divided by 50. It's $2. Yeah. So, it behooves us to A/B test the living daylights out of our landing pages. And it's something I talk a lot about with clients in my fractional CMO work that I do. I work with a lot of brands on fractional CMO. As a fractional CMO, it's a lot of the time what I work with clients on from the newsletter consulting thing. Everyone spends so much time focusing on ads, ad creative, got to get UGC, got to get pictures, got to get videos, got to get copy. And they forget about what happens after the people click on the ad. That is the easiest way to lower your cost per acquisition and increase your return on ad spend or your return on investment on whatever it is, wherever the traffic is that you're driving. If it's social content, you're driving it to your link in bio, doesn't matter. A/B testing your landing page with the simplest CRO in Unbounce is by far and away the easiest way to lower your CPA and increase your return on ad spend.
Cool.
Just the reality.
Yeah, absolutely. So from our calculations, you maybe spent 200,000 plus driving traffic to your landing pages to get email subscribers.
Last year I spent over 150K of my own money. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I got it down to like $130, $150. When I was really cranking at 20K a month.
Yep. So the next question in terms of just a quick question about Unbounce in terms of is Unbounce using AI or anything to actually optimize and give you data?
Nope.
It's just, and you need to load up your each landing page. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Now with the newsletter is, sounds like you've got great open rates. So with a newsletter, what's the number one thing you're trying to get across? Are you getting people to try and subscribe to a paying newsletter? Is it trying to be, fractional CMO? What's the objective of the newsletter? You're wanting to build a personal brand. Okay. Aspire to be Gary V, for example. So what's the goal of the newsletter monetization wise or personal brand wise? Is it freemium first and then go for the jugular later? What's the goal?
Yeah, I mean, the goal number one is to monetize. So we work with huge brands and small agencies that want to get in front of the MarketingMax audience. In our first year, we averaged about 50K a month in ad sales per month with a rather small newsletter as we were building up to 100K. Now that number is obviously higher. But yeah, the number one goal is to monetize with partnerships. So we work with Monday.com and Notion, HubSpot, MailChimp, a bunch of like huge companies that would try to sell to marketers or to startups in the marketing realm. And then we also work with a lot of agencies who want to sell marketing services to the MarketingMax audience. So that's first and foremost, like the number one goal of the newsletter. Number two is, and I guess these are kind of interchangeably, but yeah, number two is just to build the personal brand. I can build a way stronger connection with people and teach them, my marketing skills and my marketing strategies and tactics and growth hacks via a newsletter way more than I can via social. And so, yeah, the goal is just to build the personal brand and eventually be able to sell them anything. The cool thing about the newsletter is because it's MarketingMax's newsletter, but it's called Growth Daily. And and you can go to growthdaily.com to check it out. Sorry, shameless plug. You can see some of our old content. You don't need to sign up. You can see some of our insights of the day and all of those news. If you scroll down on the bottom of the homepage, you'll see our most recent like marketing industry news. But the cool thing is because we work with sponsors like Monday.com and HubSpot and Notion and a bunch of other sponsors, when we don't sell ads at sticker price, right, at rack rate, I can plug in my own products or service into the newsletter without people actually knowing that it's mine or without people actually knowing that I own a percent in that business. And so it allows me to spin up new businesses or new projects or new offers or new products way, way, way faster without needing to stake my reputation on it as much, because I can run an ad to a landing page that I A/B test on Unbounce, take a few sales calls, be like, oh, you're Max from the newsletter. I'm like, yeah, I'm considering starting this new business. That's an SEO agency, or that's a ghostwriting agency, or that's a agency reviews platform, or whatever it is. It's like a huge sandbox for me to play around and test building a bunch of different cool sandcastles and a bunch of different cool projects. So yeah, number one, obviously monetization, got to put food on the table for my wife and my dog. He needs bully sticks. But number two is to build that audience in a way more relational, deeper relation context and situation than just posting on social all the time.
Yeah. So in terms of, AI has been hot now for nearly 2 years with ChatGPT being launched in end of 2022. Um, so how to use AI for marketing, if you do, and how to use AI for content creation. And they're maybe the two biggest areas ChatGPT is used in marketing. So, funnels, landing pages, copy, deep content, social media content. How are you using AI day to day for your content creation and marketing?
Yeah, it's funny. Before the pandemic, we had 15 people full time at the agency. We had an office in New York City. And I'd walk into the office every day and there'd be, a handful of people there that I can kind of go back and forth with and strategize with and brainstorm and you kind of play words off of each other for taglines and for strategies. I don't have that now. I work out of my garage now. I moved to the suburbs out of Manhattan and live in the suburbs. And I don't have that kind of back and forth ability to brainstorm with someone. I don't have a writing partner, if you will, or someone to kind of bounce ideas off of. And so for me, ChatGPT has replaced that. I say I always use ChatGPT daily as a research partner, as a writing partner, as an inspiration partner to help me come up with new content ideas, help me think of analogies to explain and get across my message easier. I use it to find stats and find research to get my point across. So if I just know that X% of people who land in a landing page typically bounce, I can ask ChatGPT, hey, can you find a study that says, this happens? And sometimes there isn't a study and I need to rethink it. But yeah, I use ChatGPT really as kind of the friends, as sad as that sounds, in the office that can help me think differently and think outside the box. And I can kind of brainstorm taglines and messaging and body copy and even strategies, right? Like I'm trying to reach this target audience. What are examples of 5 big companies that have used a very specific marketing strategy to reach that audience? And it'll give me those ideas, right? Versus before the pandemic and before we had ChatGPT, I would look up from my laptop and I'd say, hey, John, or hey, Mark, or hey, whoever was on my team, right? Sarah. And I would say, can you guys think of a big brand that targeted, women who are interested in yoga? Any like interesting marketing strategies or tagline for that? And now I have ChatGPT for that.
Yeah, so the reality is too, I think a lot of people are still getting their head around because we've moved so quickly from AI zero to AI everywhere almost. Apple just announced the new AI-enabled phone to help with Siri and so on. So really, I think people worried about AI replacing them. The reality is that it's really AI's enhancement of them. In other words, you even look at Microsoft's name for its AI tool. It's called Copilot. We have AI companions. We have AI assistants. So I think people are still getting used to this fast-moving landscape and ecosystem, trying to work out how do I use AI, ChatGPT. You can create specific tools which actually can create sequences and so on. So, but it's really interesting that you see that as an assistant to you, not as a replacement for you. And also you can be much more productive. So how much more productive do you think you are? So you said to replace maybe 15 people with you and you and your dog. Is that how it's working?
Junior, who's napping right behind me, is maybe 1% helpful when it comes to these marketing strategies and taglines and everything else. I certainly haven't replaced those 15 people, but I am miles ahead. I don't know of a number. I am at least 3 to 4x more productive as a content creator and as an entrepreneur, leveraging AI. No questions asked. No questions asked. I think a lot of people, they just don't know how to use it. And the prompts that they asked and the way that they ask ChatGPT, they just don't know how to get a lot out of it. And my friend, this might be totally unrelated, but in my head, it's completely related. When I was in college, Snapchat came out. And my friend was telling me, you have to get on Snapchat. All of the girls are on Snapchat, Max. Like, you have to get on Snapchat. All the girls are on Snapchat. So I download Snapchat. And a week went by and I sent like 2 snaps, right? 2 messages via Snapchat. And I went back to my friend John and I said, dude, I have no idea what in the world I snap. I don't know what to send these people. My friends, let alone the girls. But like, my friends are on. I don't know what to send you. What do I send you on Snap? And he said, you have to get in the mindset that everything you do could be a snap.
Right.
You have to get in the mindset that if you're standing in line for a burger on campus and you see something funny or you see something interesting or the line is really long, you could take a selfie and you could just write like, man, the line at the burger, whatever the name of the burger stand is so long today. Ugh. And that's the snap. You just got to get like in the mindset that anything could be a snap. And I think it's the same with ChatGPT. I think it's the same with AI. We have to get in the mindset that anything we need help with could be assisted by AI. And what that leads to is not every single thing you do being, snapped, not every single thing you do finding its way onto Snapchat. And that doesn't mean that, every single thing you do, AI can help. But if you mentally get in the mindset of like, ooh, could I send this as a snap? Or, ooh, could AI help me with this? That's going to lead to a lot more opportunities and ways that you didn't even realize you could leverage AI in the same way that I didn't realize I could send 500 snaps a day.
Yeah. I think it's a great point that you've got to say, how could I use AI for this? As in almost your default question, don't you?
For everything you do.
Yeah. I use it to summarize a book. I say, give me a summary and the takeaways and the main points for this book title and author. And it's fabulous. I still do long form reading, but I still do a lot of summaries as well. So
yeah,
it could be of the book I'm reading, or it could be a book I say, well, let's see how good this book is, or is it relevant for me to actually read it? In terms of a thing too, a lot of the jobs, a lot of apps that break through are solving problems. In other words, Uber solved the taxi problem of hailing a taxi. Basically, Airbnb solved the issue with having to bikes going expensive, but hotels could actually use people's home. The list goes on. So I chat yesterday with a guest, and he said that what you need to look at is what are the 10 biggest problems that my business has and how could AI help with that? And I thought that was actually a rather good insight. So, basically my biggest problem is creating content. How can I use ChatGPT to do that? It takes me a long time to do a marketing funnel. How can I use ChatGPT to do that? I need to do research. How can I use ChatGPT to do that? These are all so it's really interesting. Now, the other question I have it was actually more than one, but there's number one, I want to know, so in terms of growing your followers, a lot of people are interested in growing your followers because apparently in the United States, every man, dog, woman, and child wants to be an influencer, right? So the numbers are in the 50% plus for a certain generation, which I don't know, Gen X, Gen Y, or Gen blah, 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 because we've got so many gens now. I've run out of alphabets, but millennials and so on. So getting followers is about becoming an influencer. Now, you're not a bikini model, neither am I. So how do you get followers without wearing a bikini? What's your secret?
That might be my favorite question I've ever been asked on a podcast or on a stage in all my speaking gigs or podcasts I've ever been interviewed on. How do I get followers without wearing a bikini? Well, first of all, I will say if I wore a bikini, I think I would either get a shit ton of followers or I'd probably lose all of my followers. So I will not be doing that anytime soon.
Or reach the wrong audience.
or reach the wrong audience that have no interest in working with me as a fractional CMO or getting my help for their newsletter. Or some of the AI stuff I'm working on now. Yeah. How do you get followers? You have to say things that people look forward to reading, right? Like at the end of the day, that's all it boils down to, right? People use the word influencers because if you have a lot of followers, you can influence people's decisions. You can influence what they watch. You can influence what they read, what they buy. But at the end of the day, all it really comes down to is creating content that people want to look forward to seeing. And so, you're in marketing, I'm in marketing. I think a lot of people listening to this are entrepreneurs, maybe marketing agency owners or, CMOs at companies. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of that. But people in the B2B space, there's only a few real ways to do that, right? Number one, you provide crazy amounts of value with how-to content. Here's how to use AI. Here's a prompt to use AI to create more content, or use AI to do research, or use AI to do whatever it is, right? Creating a lot of how-to content. You could also create inspirational content, telling stories of entrepreneurs or telling stories of marketers who have struggled and found success, right? One of my great mentors told me this amazing piece of advice, which is like, no matter what, at the end of the day, your content needs to tie back to some sort of emotion. And so the how-to emotion, right? The how-to content would tie back to some sort of emotion of, oh, I can do this. Oh, wow, this is easy. Like, I can accomplish my goals. I can do this. Inspiration would tie back to some sort of, optimistic emotion, or some sort of, I can do this, or not, I can do this, but some sort of, if they can do it, I can do it to emotion.
Yep.
Like if you tie everything back to an emotion with how-to content, or with inspirational content, or story content, or, here's how I do X, Y, and Z, right? I think that's another like huge kind of pillar for a lot of B2B creators. Like, here's how I use ChatGPT to write my content, or to help me brainstorm content ideas. Here's how I convert subscribers of my newsletter to customers of my services, or of my products, or my offerings. Whatever it is, it needs to tie back to some sort of emotion, and specifically for B2B, some sort of value, right? Some sort of real value.
So leading on from that, creating great value comes down to creating deep content, substantial content, content that matters. And so where do you store that content? And on top of that, then, do you have an SEO strategy to build digital assets that actually build online authority through Google? So where do you host your digital asset content? Where do they sit?
Yeah, I mean, you did the math, and I didn't even know this. So I've been doing marketing for 8 years, I guess. I've been doing marketing via projects before that, but I've been kind of offering this as a service and helping other companies with marketing since 2016 for 8 years. As of 3 months ago, I just now started to get into SEO for myself. And I just now started to house all of my content on 𝓬𝓲𝓵𝓵. I'm getting as many backlinks as I possibly can within a budget. I'm hosting a lot of content on 𝓬𝓲𝓵. But essentially, my content is hosted on social platforms in my newsletter, and then all the best newsletter content makes its way onto 𝓬𝓲𝓵.com.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's almost two schools of thought. There's people that actually go for paid traffic, and then there's goes for organic traffic. And I think the truth sits somewhere in the middle in terms of how you should be operating.
It depends on your budget, right? Everyone has either more time or more money.
Yeah. Well, the reality to it costs money and time to create content. So in fact, there's your ad budget right there. Yeah.
I mean, creating content really shouldn't take much money unless you hire a ghostwriter, or you need like a video editor. But yeah, you're either paying with your time, or you're paying with your wallet to get in front of people, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, marketing comes down to one thing: getting people's attention and converting that attention into dollars. I guess that's two things, but like one strategy, right? Getting people's attention and then converting that attention into revenue, right? That's all marketing is. And so you're either getting people's attention with dollars, giving it to Lord Zuckerberg or Sergey Brin and the family over at Google, or you're getting that by investing time to create content to play the algorithm game.
Yep, exactly. So just one last question. In terms of what's your primary goal in terms of messaging you're doing to your audience? What's your clear, singular, most powerful motivating goal that you're trying to achieve for MarketingMax?
What is my goal with MarketingMax, or what?
Yeah. In other words, okay, that's actually missaid. What is the main message of MarketingMax? Is it growth, for example? So you could call it, Growth Daily is the name of the newsletter. So is that it? In other words, how do people grow their business?
Yeah, I think it's my goal is to help make growth marketing easier for you. And to niche that down even a little bit more, it's, I want to help make marketing easier for entrepreneurs, and I want to help entrepreneurs grow their business easier.
And that's woven into all your social and all your content and your newsletter, obviously.
100%. Now that's taken on different forms. Like when I was running my agency, We worked with companies of all shapes and sizes and all industries, a lot of hospitality brands, um, a lot of software businesses. But the last 2 years, it was predominantly like 75-80% ecom brands. And I think ecom just kind of had a boom and bust a little bit. And especially when Facebook ads were a fraction of what they were, and everyone during the pandemic had stimulus checks and wanted to shop and they couldn't go to stores and shop in person. So I've kind of gravitated more away from ecom
Hmm.
and worked more with client service businesses or just anyone that kind of focuses on leads and clients more than customers.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's the Marketing Max goal, to help
Okay.
make marketing easier and growing your business easier for entrepreneurs.
And so your target market is B2B instead of B2C. Is that correct?
My goal these days, yeah, is to work with more B2B companies. Yeah, I mean, I am the fractional CMO of 2 different e-commerce brands right now that are all doing, north of 7 figures in revenue. I
Okay.
still know the skill set. I still know the game and the strategies, and I still have the skill set to execute for them. Again, at the end of the day, it just comes down to getting attention and converting that attention into dollars. Doesn't matter what you're selling, if you can do that in a cost effective way,
Yep.
you have a real business, right? But I've just found these days I'm having more, or I'm just enjoying it more working with B2B rather than B2C.
All right, cool. So two more questions, and
Sure.
I'm gonna pose the last one first, um, and then I'll get your answer after I ask you the next question. So, if you had all the money in the world
Mhm.
and you could do whatever you wanted, what would you do every day that would bring you deep joy and happiness? And I'm not talking about getting drunk on a beach, or drinking tequilas till you can't remember. So just think about that, park that for a bit. Also, and the next question is, how do they find you? Marketing Max, where do you live in this digital ecosystem world? So, do they search for
Yeah.
you? Tell me.
Yeah. So I spend the majority of my time on Twitter. So you can find me Marketing Max on Twitter, or on X, as we're supposed to call it now. If you want to learn more about me or potentially work with me, you can go to marketingmax.io. There's a fractional CMO kind of forum there if you want to work with me, but you could also just find me on Twitter and DM me. The question of, if I had all the money in the world, what would I do every day? Well, I imagine it's going to change because my wife is 12 weeks pregnant. So come 6 months from now, it might be a little different. But right now, I'd wake up first thing in the morning. I'd go play 18 holes of golf every single day.
Hmm.
I'd come home. I'd take my dog to the park, and then I would have some lunch and then go into some sort of an office where I run some sort of a startup incubator. I love working with startups and working with businesses to solve growth specific, marketing specific, and sometimes product specific challenges. And I would just love nothing more than to walk into a room of, 10 or 20 entrepreneurs, all working and, struggling with different things that I can bring in friends and mentors to help them accomplish their goals. I've worked for a couple different accelerators, and it's just the energy is like a drug to me. It's just like the most fun
Hmm.
thing in the entire world. So yeah, I sold my agency, not enough to retire forever, but whenever I sell my next company or two, hopefully I have enough to start an accelerator program, raise a fund, do something a little bit similar to Y Combinator in Los Angeles or New York. And that's what I would do. Help companies grow and play golf every day. Play with my dog.
Right. So a bit of the intersection of marketing and golf. There you go.
Golf is life. Uh, so yeah.
So what's the handicap you're playing off then?
These days I'm not playing enough, so I'm probably like a 4 or a 5.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, I played competitive when I was a kid, and I walked onto a golf team in uni, as you guys would say, in college.
Yep.
Got my ass handed to me by a bunch of kids that look much better than me, but I still love it more than anything else.
Yeah, well, I do love it because it's a great walk in the park, and I try not to take it too seriously because I I interviewed the guy that rescued Harley Davidson back in the 80s, and he was asked the question, who's your competition? In other words, who's the competition to Harley Davidson? He was asked this at a conference boardroom, at a conference, and he said, golf.
I love that.
Because the reality is it's competing for your weekend. And he still
That's
says
so
about
good.
golf, which I found interesting. And look, you can play golf better than me. So this is even more relevant to me is where you spend so much time every day to just be average. And that's you
I
go,
mean,
yeah.
average is subjective in golf because
It is.
90% of golfers never break 100.
Yeah.
So if you play any sort of consistency or like if you play consistently at all, you'll break 100 and you'll be above average. It won't feel like it,
Yeah.
but you'll be above average. I don't know why they made par 72 on most courses. It makes no sense. Like literally no sense.
Well, I have
But
broken 100 a few times, so I'm grateful for that. So it looks like I'm above
okay.
average, so that's excellent. But Marketing Max, thank you very much for your time and insights. I've learned a lot, and that's what I love about doing this show is that I'm very curious and love learning. So, in fact, I sit on my ass most mornings and read and take notes, which goes into my writing, and that brings me deep joy. And thank you very much for sharing what brings you joy. Your life is about to change in 6 months. I'll let you know because I've got a few children myself. Small kids, small problems, big kids, big problems. Just letting you know, just a heads up.
Never heard that. Wow.
But
Wow.
there is joy there, and it's just so anyway. But thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, and good luck with the golf, and good luck with the followers. We
Thank you.
all, being an influencer is fun. I think Tim Ferriss has worked out that being a celebrity is actually not what it's cracked up to be. Look, I was influencer before influencer was actually invented. I was a social media influencer back in 2011, 12, 13, and traveled around the world speaking, which I have done some of recently too. But I suppose I'm a little bit older than you, so I actually am enjoying the quiet time to write, think, and create and reflect. And but it is good to give back to the world, basically, whether it's from stage like you're doing and I've done, or whether it's from your writing and your social media posts. So good luck for the future. Marketing Max has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate you.